I'd like to introduce you to a wonderful program called Love and Life at the Movies. Love and Life at the Movies was established by a nonprofit educational organization called the Educational Guidance Institute, or EGI, led by Dr. Onali McGraw. Our mission is to present classic films to today's youth to teach character and virtue, truth, goodness, and beauty. These films model universal truths surrounding friendship, family, and community. They teach ideals in areas such as true and healthy love, family unity, justice, friendship, moral courage, perseverance in times of crisis, and the common good of all people. All these things are natural, universal truths, objectively good no matter who you are or where you come from. Today, most young people hunger for harmony in the human condition, and we've selected films which teach us the way to achieve this harmony through our interactions with the people and the world around us. We focus on teaching the whole person, body and spirit, emotion and intellect.
There are 5 aspects to every human being. Intellectual, right? Your intellect, your brain. Moral, all right, that's the part of you that makes decisions about right and wrong. Emotional, physical, and social, all right? And if you want to remember it, how this works, think of your hand. Okay, you got 5 fingers on your hand, 1 for each aspect. But you can't move any of your fingers down to the palm of your hand without moving the others, at least one of the others, okay?
The arts, in this case film, touch us on an emotional level as well as an intellectual one. When we watch a good movie, we're touched on both these levels simultaneously. As the film progresses, we become invested in the characters and we come to understand how and why they relate to each other. Love and Life at the Movies teaches in this way. Each film has a lesson plan. The instructor gives the kids a brief overview of the movie they'll be seeing and gives them an idea of what they should be looking for. Part of the goal is to teach kids how to be film critics in a way.
How to be a film critic, okay? And I'm not talking about T-thumbs, I'm not talking about any of that silly stuff. I'm talking about really being able to watch a movie and decipher what's going on. Decipher how it applies to your life. Decipher the things that maybe aren't being said, all right? Acting without action, okay? Negative space.
And the kids pick up on this beautifully.
Yeah, I think that was the idea that at the end of the day, the little guys would win because he stuck to his courage and he did persevere. And those things were the things that did carry him through.
The kids then watch the film. Whether it's shown in full or in segments, we've seen kids fall in love with the characters and become immersed in the story in a way that's exciting and gratifying to see. Through Love and Life at the Movies, we've seen kids from all walks of life learn to care for and value characters with whom they may have absolutely nothing in common. These lessons are meaningful for everyone.
He says, I can't kill a man just because he hates me. No puedo matar a un hombre solo porque me odia.
After watching the film, in some cases, the kids may spend some time in breakout groups discussing the film amongst themselves.
It was interesting because you saw the dramatic change in him after she gave him the money. His behavior was like, yeah,
It was a lot more positive.
it was, yeah, he was dancing in the kitchen with his wife.
He felt like there was hope because he could do something for his family. I think that's probably a main difference.
Then the teacher follows the lesson plan and engages the kids in a group conversation about the film, the characters, the story, and the relationships, based on the theme and focus of that particular movie. Ultimately, we find that the themes taught can be applied to our own lives today in one way or another.
It can be, Mr. Smith, you can take it like not just in the area of, the corruption in the Senate, but you can apply the lesson to other areas of your life also.
Absolutely.
Is just how a family going through struggles, how they should try to work together to make it through those struggles. And I hope that's what people take away from it.
Here are some examples of various movie showings we've had over the years and the kind of conversations that emerge. Raisin in the Sun is a film about the family. It shows family life realistically, and with the depths and differences of each of the characters coming together as a united body.
I want you to identify the givers and the takers. Who is a giver in the relationship? Okay, it's actually a family. I want you to be able to identify who is a giver and who is a taker, and to tell why.
We see the wisdom of the mother and the hope for the children, not to mention compassion when a loved one is faced with difficulty.
The issue of compassion, the issue of empathy for somebody else. Have you cried for him today? Okay, have you sat in his shoes today? Have you seen when he's down? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how this movie affects us in terms of how we think about other people and their problems.
Key Largo shows the power of moral courage as well as the true phenomenon of evil. Evil was an undeniable part of the gangster subculture of the Prohibition era. But this film shows the triumph of good over evil, the possibility of redemption even for the bad guys, and how necessary the fight against evil can really be. In the process, we see wonderful examples of chivalry, personal dignity, and free will. Strangers become a community, first against the storm, then against the gangsters.
Prudent while doing that because, it wasn't his intention, like, okay, I'm going to win her trust so that she's going to help me later on in the end. He was doing it because he was showing compassion and he was courageous doing it because he knew he could have gotten killed, but because she was human, she deserved that dignity, she deserved that self-respect.
Key Largo gives kids a unique window into personal lives and relationships. There's a tremendous amount of silent reaction in this film. You can discover so much about each character even when there's no dialogue. It's another wonderful opportunity to get kids to act as film critics. We've seen students respond to this movie with tremendous strength, particularly in seeing the real struggle for virtue and how difficult it can be to make good triumph over evil.
He spent years in the war fighting for justice, fighting for the greater good. Right? He set that up in the beginning of the movie for us. And then the other thing is that one Rocco, more or less, in this world does make a difference.
In the film No Way Out, we learn that whatever particular group we belong to, there's going to be a challenge or a test we need to face.
Violence, what? What does violence do? It creates more violence.
There's a struggle for the dignity of the individual person. We see certain truths we must live by even in the face of oppression or prejudice.
I don't care if it's white, black, what was the other word that he said? Polka dots, okay? So it didn't really matter, the skin color didn't really matter to him. He was interested in what? In good doctors.
The final scenes of Sidney Poitier's first movie were a launching factor for the civil rights movement. Presented to teens of today, it makes that part of history more real and more understandable to kids who are still living the effects of it.
And Dr. Wharton was different. He didn't see his color. And in the ideal world, if we could all be like that, how wonderful it would be to just believe in people and trust in people because of who they are.
Roman Holiday is a film about romance, mutual respect, and duty. Roman Holiday gives us a tremendous example of the hallmarks of true love, romance, and personal dignity. The qualities of this film cause you to care deeply for the two main characters and identify with what they're feeling.
How many does it take to love? Two. Okay. So that means that he's supposed to be helping her.
Draw out the goodness in her also.
Right. And how?
High Noon is a unique film which shows that sometimes sacrifice is necessary to preserve community. It speaks strongly to the common good. In times of crisis, tough decisions need to be made by all of us. Decisions about love and marriage are also brought into the events of the story. Students clearly can make a great deal of sense out of the interactions they see in the relationships on the screen. It shows the importance of the marriage vow and what it means to be true and faithful to people as well as to promises.
So therefore, she should have stayed and worked it out, even if he was going to die. And he did try.
It's a Wonderful Life is a film that generations of people have seen countless times. It has become a traditional part of the Christmas season for so many, and often is one of the first black and white movies kids of today have ever seen. We see the life of our hero, George Bailey, right from his childhood, and this invites us to learn from the entirety of one person's life. In the process, we see George and his family giving their whole community a glowing example of the fight for the common good and the importance of sticking together to get through difficult times. It's a Wonderful Life takes us through two significant eras in U.S. history, the Great Depression and World War II. And our students have seen a town pull together to get through these trying times. In George's greatest crisis, we also see a good man lose control and fall into despair.
It's like George Bailey. It wasn't that he had a complete tendency to be emotionally immature. He didn't lose it all the time, but he finally just broke and couldn't keep that sense of maturity anymore.
Ultimately, he decides that he needs to get his life back when he realizes that he no longer has his wife. It's a beautiful portrait of true love and family strength, as well as one of the value that each person's life has in this world. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is a tremendous film which encompasses aspects of civic virtue, romance, and the victory of good over evil. We asked the kids if they can put themselves in Jeff Smith's place. What would you do? It's an opportunity to teach about empathy as well. The aspect of romance in this film is based on partnership and friendship and working together for a cause greater than themselves. We find that goodwill isn't always enough. The little guy often has to take action, despite some difficulty.
I was standing up and talking about this, they realized there's got to be something behind it because no one's going to put that much time and effort into something that's not backed up by something else.
Right.
One of the more modern films we've used is Radio, illustrating that a true classic can come from any era. In this case, it defines the term classic not just as old, but as a film which presents human dignity as something to be cherished. Radio touches strongly on the dignity of people with disabilities. Radio taught even more than he learned himself. There are strong themes of friendship, sympathy, family, and community. Radio faces challenges such as being regularly bullied, going through the death of his mother, and even being wrongfully arrested for being generous on Christmas Day. Feeling unable to stand up for himself, he almost acquires his sense of dignity from those who come to love him. Human connects with human in a mutual giving and taking, each recognizing the human dignity of the other while at the same time enjoying the shared goodness of friendship. This is just a small sampling of the films included in Love and Life at the Movies. Love and Life at the Movies has lesson plans for well over a dozen films that are inspiring thought-provoking conversations among teens, young adults, and their teachers. We choose movies which will give kids the best and brightest portraits of people while never ignoring the reality of evil and difficulty in the world. Characters like Radio, Jeff Smith, Mama Younger, Princess Anne, and all the rest give us stellar examples of the human spirit. They show us the kind of people we would like to be, and they make us wonder what the world would be like if all people showed as much love, honor, and courage. They inspire. They teach the whole person, mind, body, and spirit. With our help, they can inspire and teach more and more kids, and maybe give a helping hand to us, their teachers. Here's to truth, goodness, and beauty, and to the value and dignity of each young person. For more information on how to participate in Love and Life at the Movies and the Educational Guidance Institute, please contact us at www.egionline.org or write to us at Educational Guidance Institute, Inc., P.O. Box 1127, Front Royal, Virginia 22630.